Good afternoon, everybody. Calm Biker here. Out for a ride on the Kawasaki. Just looking. Oh, road ahead closed. I hope it's not the one I'm on. Oh, no, that one. Right, fair enough. It's a bizarre position we're in at the minute. There's kind of three main roads out of Beverley in the direction of Hull, and every one of them has got roadworks on at the minute, which is quite irritating. So you can't actually get out of the place without having to negotiate cones or temporary traffic lights or something. Two of the main routes, they're joining up with a bypass and they're working on both ends at once. So that's messing up those two roads. And then the other road out that I've been using to avoid those have now decided they're messing about with because they're putting a new housing estate up, which is a case of democracy in action. There was actually, because we live in an area that's relatively rural, it's not rural, but it's relatively rural, and it's surrounded by green belt that's supposed to be protected. And about 6 years ago, a housing developer came along and said, we want to build hundreds and hundreds of houses on this land and turn your little area into a much bigger one. And everyone said, well, we don't really fancy that. If you don't mind, we came out here to live in a rural place. And it got denied and they got sent away, and they came back a few years later and did the same thing again. They don't give up easy. Anyway, a few years later, and Mr. Cameron, the Prime Minister, I'm sure Prime Minister used to be an insult at some point. I'm sure I saw that on a programme or read it somewhere, that Prime Minister was a bit of a jokey put down. And I think they should bring that one back again. But yeah, he decided that he was going to bring in this rule, and he told everyone, oh, you should have more control over the area in which you live. You should have more control over building. So he changed all the rules accordingly, and then this housing builder came back and said, we want to build hundreds of houses again. And everyone said, hang on, we don't want that, and appealed against it, as they always do. And the local parish council said, yes, we agree with the people, we don't want this. And East Yorkshire Council said, fair enough, we're not going to allow it. But this time, because of his new rules, the building company got the chance to appeal, and they just passed it. And within no time, they've been putting up houses, and they're turning what was a lovely green space in green belt land that's not supposed to be touched into more houses. And obviously people are not particularly happy about it. I helped out with the passing out of leaflets letting people know what was going on. Now a lot of people are saying, oh, it's just Nimbyism. If you've not come across Nimbyism, I don't know if it's a particularly a British phrase or not, but it means not in my backyard, and it's the idea that people only complain about building projects and all that kind of stuff when it's near them. And well, it's kind of generally true, because, you know, apart from the select few, like the ones who are protesting against the fracking nearby, who is going to be giving up their jobs and heading off across the country to complain about them building houses in a different... Of course it's only going to be in your own backyard. But really, the Nimbyism bit is an ad hominem attack. It's a case of, well, we want to build these things. These people don't want them building nearby. We haven't got any good reasons why we need to build, so let's just attack the people rather than attacking their arguments. Now, it's a strange one really, because clearly there's a lot of people in this country. You might argue there are too many, not just in this country but on the planet. Certainly without our modern technology, there's not enough capability of the planet to support this number of people, and we can only support this number because of the intensive farming technologies that we've got. So when the oil runs out, that'll be quite interesting to see what happens if the energy drops off. It's quite possible that so will the food, and so will the population. But anyway, that's by the by. So, because there are so many people, we need a lot of places to live. So I appreciate that they need to build places. Around here there's a lot of places you could build, especially seeing as they're saying they want affordable homes, and what they're doing at the minute is building in some of the more expensive areas. And if £200,000 is an affordable home, then Satan skates to work, you know. But again, that aside, sometimes you have to give in. Sometimes you have to say, yes, you do need to build these houses. And other times, I think it's right to fight them. So there are some places around us where they want to build houses where I kind of don't care. You know, it's not going to do any damage to anything. Some people will be upset because naturally you don't want your area becoming crowded. But unfortunately that's just the way it is, and that's progress. But there are other places where it's a real problem, and that's what they're doing around us at the minute. In the 2 new housing estates they're putting up. If you're in Britain, you might remember from a few years back, the north flooded, and it was on the news a lot. We had, depending on where you were, we had some minor to very bad flooding, so we were lucky and got away with it. We got cut off, so both ends of our road were under too much water to get out, so we were cut off. But we were lucky that the water didn't get to our house. We had some problems. There was that much rain, it came down the chimney for the boiler and actually started pouring out the boiler. I mean, it was properly heavy rain for about 24 hours, and it just filled everything. My parents, they were lucky that it got into the house but only under the floors. It didn't damage anything apart from underneath the floors, and it made their garden look like it was in a lake. You could just see the odd tree sticking out of the water. And then I had a colleague who was really badly affected. She was actually on holiday at the time abroad, and she came back to find that her house had been under 9 feet of water. So downstairs there was all, you know, the water had come right up almost to the ceiling, and of course the water that was coming up had come up out of drains and sewers, so it wasn't pleasant. I mean, you can imagine what you flush down the toilet coming back out meant that they had to chip off all the plasterboard and all that kind of stuff. And unfortunately, where they're building at the moment, when those floods happened, was under varying amounts of water. So one area was under probably 3 or 4 feet. Another area where they're building on a hill, the water was coming down the hill inches deep and bringing mud with it, and blocking the roads with the amount of mud. So I feel for the people who are going to buy these houses, because they are almost certainly going to get flooded at some point in the future, and that's why I don't think they should have been allowed. But also that the drains are already under so much strain, and adding another, I think they're adding about 400 houses to the same drain, is just going to make it worse for everybody. So here's my question. Why is it that we can't build new towns and cities? We seem to have not done it very much since we built that one down south. What's it called? Oh, that's hopeless, isn't it? I had it in my brain. I've forgotten the name of the blooming place. The place that's all roundabouts and grid. I can't remember the name. I'm hopeless. I can't remember the name of the place. It'll come to me and I'll stick it in front of this video. But why don't we do that? When you actually go above Britain, if you look down from an aeroplane, you can see that there's a tiny percentage of it is actually been built on. There's swathes of open area. So why don't we just build some new places instead of continuously expanding the old ones? I'll leave that one open for you to answer. I don't know, it would be technically difficult to connect up all the gas and the electric and water and all that, but surely you can't just keep adding to the same drains and the same water and electric supplies forever. I mean, we're at the point where we're getting brownouts on the electricity already because they've connected so many people to the grid. Let me know what you think in the comments. Anyway, I'm off to the Hull Fair to buy Mrs. C a bag of brandy snap. So she's a bit poorly, so I'm going to go and get her a bag to cheer her up. So I'll just say thank you for watching. Ride safe, everyone. I'll talk to you all again soon.